Okay, so I think you guys can see the presentation now, and I'm really, really sorry about this. So yeah, I will just start over. Uh, okay, I will make it a PowerPoint slideshow now. Okay, it's okay, cool. I think you should be, I'm pretty sure you should be able to see it now. I'm really sorry about this, and thanks for your patience. So yeah, I am Vrinda. I graduated in the 2016 batch from MME at NIT. And I am here to give you a few tips on how to clear the interview, which will be in the beginning of April. And hopefully by the end of the interview, you won't be this guy. So yeah, like I said before, a big congratulations to all of you. From what I see, the application requirements are pretty rigorous. So the fact that you guys have achieved a CGPA of more than 8 and took part in competitions, as well as undertook a project, completed an online course, or worked for an NGO and composed 3 different essays. I think it's a big deal, and you guys should give yourself a tap on the back. So when I was thinking about how to structure this presentation based on my previous experiences with interviews, I thought it would be best to categorize the tips into 3 main areas. So first would be to reflect on your experiences. The second would be to be yourself. And the third is to know your content well and make sure you practice all your answers. So I will go through each of these in detail one by one. So the first point is reflection, right? And I think this is the most important. So like I mentioned before, the application process has been quite rigorous. So it must have had an impact on you. And now it's time to think, what sort of impact has it had? Okay, so this you can do by asking yourself questions. So here I've listed like a few things you can ask yourself. So for example, one of the criteria was having to achieve a CGPA of greater than 8. So was it, but like you're just in your this was just in your first semester, right? So this whole transition from school to college, was it difficult? And was it stressful to have this requirement of scoring more than GPA more than 8, or did having this requirement actually help you, enjoy your subjects more, and did you go beyond what was required to study in the syllabus? And the next is that you guys had to take part in a contest. So why did you choose that contest? What was the outcome? What did you get out of it? And things like that. And about your project, like how did you go about choosing it? And for example, I'm in the line of research, so like maybe I would think along like obviously if you have taken up a technical project, you must have faced some, or any project for that matter, you must have faced some sort of difficulty. How did you overcome it? What did this teach you about the whole process of working on a project or research and development? Did you approach anybody for help? How did you find them? And especially you need to think about, do you plan on taking this project further? And similarly for MOOCs, right? Oh my God. Okay, I am really sorry once again. I seem to be right. So just a second. Okay, I hope you can see the questions which I was just talking about right now. Okay. So, how effective the online learning was for you? What courses will you take any other courses online another time? And especially, I think for this sort of a thing, it would be nice to have an idea of how what you think about this whole online learning process itself. Uh, um, like if you think it's effective and if you think this should be made a norm. And then, or if you didn't take up an online course and you've gone for an NGO, how did you choose this NGO? What do you feel about um, uh, maybe seeing like less privileged sections of the society? So basically, the idea of this point is to have like basic answers to what you did, why you did it, and how you did it. Okay, and the idea is that so the scholarship requirements, there are just so many boxes to tick, right? But this doing this sort of reflection will show the interviewing committee that you didn't just do it to check off the boxes, but you actually, thought about how the impact on you has been. And I think this is what the scholarship wants as well. Like I found this on the website that the committee believes that college opens avenues and it grants a lot of freedom and resources at its disposal, and so basically to show how you have utilized these resources and this freedom, and reflecting on your experiences will really help you do that. And I think I have moved on to the next slide. So yeah, okay. And this is a cartoon which I really liked, which kind of very nicely summarizes how to go through this whole process of self-reflection. And I especially like, these three questions. What are you most proud of? What would you do differently next time? And what are the three things that you learned from this, and what worked and what didn't? So I'm also just going to check if the slides are moving. Just give me a sec. Which shows those three questions that you should ask yourself. The next question is the next cliche that this may sound. You definitely need to think about what makes you unique, and make sure you showcase that in the interview. So one example is that a very typical question at interviews is, oh, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And many people think that, oh, they should not share any of their weaknesses, and they should otherwise portray another strength as their weakness. So for example, some like people may suggest that you say that, oh, my strength is working hard and my weakness is working hard as well, like I don't know when to stop. But that's I feel that's not the right thing to do, because first of all, everybody, it's very clear that it's not true. Nobody's like that. And so and the fact that if you're able to convey one or two not so serious weaknesses about yourself, it will show that you are self-aware, and that itself is a big plus point. So make sure you think about an answer to this question, like what are your strengths and weaknesses. And also you need to make sure that the weakness that you convey is not something really major. Like you cannot go and tell them, oh, I don't like working in a team. That's a very wrong weakness to have, and you should be doing something about it. But something smaller, like maybe, for example, I'm a little too frank, but I'm working on it. So showing that you're working on your weakness is also a big plus point. So think about, think along these lines. And also, I think another aspect of being yourself is to think about how you want to spend the next 3 years of your college. So, I mean, you guys have just finished your first semester, so obviously knowing what you want to do with the rest of your life is a bit too early. If you already know, that's great, but I think most of you wouldn't. But showing the committee that you have an idea of, your sort of a plan for the next 3 years, and especially how the scholarship helped you realize that. For example, the fact that if you did take up a technical project, that it piqued your interest in maybe electronics or robotics, and you have decided to join one of the clubs on campus and take part in many more competitions, even nationally, and things like that. So showing that you have this sort of a plan shows the committee that you have clarity on what you plan on doing. And I think this is very important. Based on my experience, so at the end of my second year, I went for this interview where they asked me, okay, so what do you want to do after graduation? And I'm like, and at that time I was very confused, and I said, oh, I feel I have an interest in managing teams and business, so I think I will do an MBA, but I'm also interested in science, so I'll do research, and I like keeping my options open. And I thought that would show me as a very versatile person, but I don't think it did at all. And it didn't work out. And I feel it was because of this, because it showcased me like I had no direction or clarity of what I wanted to do. But at the end of my third year, I started thinking, I realized, like, I'd like to go into science. So there was that clarity of thought. And in another set of interviews that I gave, I made sure that this clarity came out, and I think that really worked in my favor. So I feel you guys should think about that too. And the last point under this category is, how do you fit into the scholarship criteria, right? Again, the scholarship website shows that it celebrates students with this who want to explore, who are aware, and who are perseverant. So make sure you come up with instances where you have showcased these three qualities, in your life and things like that, to show that you are a good candidate for the scholarship. So the Snoopy one is a very feel-good, motivational one, right? Be yourself. No one can say that you're doing it wrong. But also, like I said about the whole strengths and weaknesses thing, if you see the right cartoon, it's not okay to be egotistic or overconfident and things like that. So you need to know how to balance it out and showcase to the committee that you are sincere and unique and everything. Know your essays well and practice your answers. So you guys had to write 3 very different essays, right? So the first one was about how the scholarship, like what are the things you learned while applying for the scholarship. The second one was to identify a problem in your community in NIT, and analyze it and provide some solutions if possible. And the last one was to discuss a current technological trend and provide some insights. So the idea is that you should know every single thing that you have written. It's very likely that they will have the committee will have your like application packet with them in front of them, so they can quickly look at the essays and ask you questions regarding that. And even though you have written it, like you've written it like some time ago, by the time of the interview, it would have been almost a month since you wrote it, right? So it's easy to forget. So make sure you reread those essays and like think about what are the different questions they can ask you along what you have along the lines of the essays that you have written, and make sure you have all this information at your fingertips. This will make you more confident, and it will help you answer more easily. And I have realized this with myself, that when you're being interviewed, there's a tendency to forget what you know and what you think your qualities are and what you've written in your essays and everything. And you can avoid this through practice, and it's very important to practice out loud. So practice your answers by speaking it out loud. And having mock interviews with families and friends helps as well. This comes back to the whole point of practicing out loud. Yeah, and then again, like think about your accomplishments and give examples, and this ties back to how the scholarship celebrates the exploratory attitude, perseverance, and awareness, right? So think about how the different experiences in your life have kind of showcased these qualities in you. And especially for the community and society essay, since it's like it's less about yourself and more about what you have observed and like a commentary, it is a good idea to have some general knowledge, like and like a current affairs thing regarding these issues. So for example, if a society, for example, for the society essay, if you chose, you know, the huge like women's empowerment movement that's been happening since last year with whole Me Too and everything, so know what's been going on around it, and know why you chose that topic as opposed to anything else. So I think having like it is very important to have a context for what you have written. So make sure you think about that. And finally, some other tips to have it all on the website. So knowing something about the interviewer really helps. You can also use that in your answer when you're answering their questions. And also, since you guys have this whole aspect of doing a project, and if it is technical, make sure you know the technical background, because I saw that some of the interviewers are also professors. So if a professor lands on your interviewing committee, then it can happen that they will ask you technical questions. So if you have used some sort of like Raspberry Pi or something in your project, know, you know, like how you went about it, and why you chose that particular device and things like that, right? The third point is, yeah, this is very important. So interviewers sometimes ask candidate at the end of the interview, so do you have any questions for us, right? So make sure you have some questions prepared. And I've given an example as well here that you can ask them, what opportunities do you think students should look out for in college? So it's very important to have such questions prepared. It shows the interviewers that you are interested in learning from them as well, as opposed to just showing them that you're a good candidate and everything. And also, there is a tendency, I feel, for like people in general to ramble when they're asked a question. So if you catch yourself doing that during the interview, just stop, okay? Make sure your answers are clear and concise. And again, this can come with practice. And like I said before, having some knowledge of current affairs helps. I mean, I'm not asking you to like just go through the, I don't know, some GK Manorama book or anything, but just have a brief general idea so that you can have a sort of an opinion, right, about these current affairs. And of course, be confident and relaxed, be polite to the interviewers, and don't forget to smile. Having a pleasant attitude, I think, really helps. It'll ease the tension. And also, listen, think, and answer, right? So again, it's a very common tendency to like, as soon as you're asked a question, you want to immediately answer. You don't have to do that. You can take the liberty to think for a while and then structure your answer in your head and then respond. And if you do that, more likely your answer will be better, rather than, you know, just speaking right after they ask the question, because then that would be like you're almost thinking out loud. So you should try practicing that. And don't forget to ask them to, you know, repeat their question if you weren't able to understand. That will help as well. And to ease the tension, sort of look at the interview as a conversation, right? So the interviewers want to know you better, and you want to also convey these facts about you better. So look at it as a two-way conversation. That will also help ease the atmosphere. And of course, dress well. Be on time and give a firm handshake. Apparently, a handshake can showcase a lot about your personality. So having a firm handshake shows that, you know, you're confident and sure about yourself. And finally, of course, it's not the end of the world if you don't clear for the interview, or if you don't clear beyond the interview. It's completely fine. The fact that you guys have gone through this entire process, like I said before, it's really rigorous. And the fact that you've gone through this itself is a big stepping stone to when you apply for other scholarships and everything. So you guys are in your first year, I guess it's very easy to get caught up with this thing, and you really want to win. And if you don't, you feel like, you know, you don't want to participate in anything else, don't do that, right? The fact that you've taken initiative to submit this application itself is a big deal. So yeah, you should be proud of that. And finally, I'd just like to end. This is the most basic, okay? Tell me about yourself. And you, a lot of people ignore it, but you definitely need to have an answer prepared, and make sure you practice it and keep it less than 1 minute. Okay, and make sure you include those whole unique aspects about yourself. I mean, don't just stop with, oh, I am Vrinda and I'm in my first year of metallurgical and materials engineering. That's it. They know that. So what is the other thing that they don't know about you that you should convey to them? So make sure you have that in your less than 1 minute answer. And like I said before, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And yeah, you should also think about, like, if they ask you, what are you, why do you think that you should be awarded the scholarship? Like, have an answer for that. Again, this again points back to you being unique. So how are you different from other candidates? Everybody has filled out those, everybody has ticked those requirements, right? Those check boxes. So what have you done differently? And then again, maybe a question could be, what are you going to do with the award money? So you should think about that. And maybe having a creative answer for that helps. And yeah, another question could be, what are your two main learnings from this whole scholarship process about yourself? Maybe it taught you to be more active on campus. It showed you all the different facilities and things like that. So yeah, think about those lines. Think along those lines. And good luck to all of you. I will just go through the first, submitted the application, and yeah, these are the three important things, and you can structure your preparation